bottom. People call you the underdog. They think you're the underdog, but you're at the bottom. But we going straight to the top.
Straight to the top.
Today, we king.
I'm a king. Sometimes I feel like I'm
Get at the bottom.
in the business of my dream. I don't.
All right, sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. We're gonna try that one more time. I'm not sure what happened to the audio. All right, and audio is down, so can everybody still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Bobby. Welcome to episode 23 of the Area 51 Racing Podcast. We've got Rob and Dave. How you guys doing tonight?
Doing
doing
good, Bobby. How about you?
Doing good. We got Mason Maggio on the show tonight. Mason, how you doing?
I'm doing good, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Good to have you on. Mason, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your racing career?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of began my racing career a little later than a lot of kids would. Usually they start when they're about 5, 6, 7 years old. I didn't start till I was about 11 and a half, 12 years old. So kind of got a little bit of a late start, raced Bandoleros and Legend cars. And just kind of gave that a shot and, had some success there. I'd always been a race fan through my family, but, never really got into racing. I never had anybody tied into it. Kind of fell into it on accident, but probably one of the more fun and exciting accidents that I've ever had. So, but yeah, like I said, I just did Bandoleros and Legend cars for the longest time. And, when I was about 11 and a half, 12, raced in late different types of late models the last couple of years after I graduated from the Legend car rankings, and had my success there and carried that over into the late model stuff between my limited late model days as well as my pro late model days, won races, awards, and then got into the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series back in 2022 during one of my late model campaigns, and for Rayon Brothers Racing, and was able to make more starts after that. And then the very next year continued to do truck starts and Xfinity starts, as well as my Xfinity debut last year with MBM Motorsports and Carl Long. So and here we are about 7, 8 years into this crazy racing journey, as I like to call it, and still swinging and still trying to go for glory, per se, and keep striving. So been competing in the truck series a lot this year, and that's kind of been my main focus for this year, and just trying to do as many races as I possibly can, and utilizing partnerships and opportunities, and hopefully that leads to some success for the equipment that I'm in, and continue to move up the NASCAR ladder one race at a time.
Now, I know that you partnered up with Richmar Florist, who is Jonathan Morsi. Are you guys in talks this year at all, or for a sponsorship?
Absolutely. And Jonathan and I are really good buddies. Fun fact, they were Richmar Florist and those guys, they were one of the first ever partners that I landed by myself, simply just reaching out to them on, I think it was either Twitter or Instagram, and, built a relationship ever since. And, they're a great family over there. They do a lot for racing and for sports, and, been in the florist industry for a long time. And we've been able to do a lot of cool stuff together, from, a small sponsorship on a late model car to Jonathan getting me my first NASCAR suit for when I made my debut. Still have it to this day. And we've been able to do some cool stuff together over the last couple of years. So there's always talks, for sure. And I know he's got some big stuff going on. He's always got something cool planned or exciting to announce, whether that's in racing or in other sports, or other cool opportunities that he's able to utilize and be able to have fun with or be able to kind of give back as well. So yeah, great family over there, great business, and definitely the first place I think of whenever I need flowers for whether that's for Mother's Day or Valentine's Day, whatever occasion may come my way. They're always the first people I reach out to when it comes to getting beautiful bouquets of flowers.
Absolutely, I do the same thing.
Now, where did you start your racing career as far as around the United States?
Yeah, so mainly did stuff back and forth between Georgia and Florida. I was born and raised in Florida, and did that in the Bandoleros and Legend Car rankings for the longest time, and mainly did some stuff up in Atlanta. Florida didn't really have the as much racing as we hoped for versus going up to Georgia racing at the half mile or the quarter mile at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Chris Motorsports Park, places like that. Raced at Citrus County a few times, Arbondale Speedway, a few other places like that. Just kind of going back and forth and gaining as much experience as I could at the time and with the budget that we had. So definitely fun and simpler times. I just didn't know it at the time. But yeah, no, I started racing right around there, and a lot of great memories and a lot of great experiences that have come from that I really cherish.
Gotcha. So you had mentioned to us when we were just talking that you moved into a new area. Where'd you end up setting up base camp at?
Yeah, so I'm officially moved up to North Carolina to pursue this on a full-time basis. I've been living up here kind of just here and there, more or less on a part-time deal, living with a couple different buddies and trying to get my feet wet and seeing if it makes sense. And been fortunate enough where I'm in a position where it does, and I've had a lot of opportunities this year, which has certainly helped with making this move. But yeah, no, still settling in and still getting things set up, but really cool opportunity for me to be close and be able to kind of be around racing on a day-to-day basis. Working in race shops and trying to keep the dream alive. And yeah, it's been a fun experience so far, and I can only imagine the memories I'm going to make moving forward.
So yeah, I heard rumors, from Bob P that you possibly bought Kyle Busch's mansion. No, I'm playing.
No, we're big time, but we're not that big time, as I like to call it. But yeah, but no, I just got a nice little townhouse. So that's been a bit of fun moved in with two of my buddies, and we're kind of starting our venture there. Who are both in the NASCAR industry as well. So pretty fitting. Actually, before I did the interview, we were actually watching a bunch of fun facts on NASCAR and a bunch of other things on YouTube in our living room. So yeah, to say the least, it's very fitting for three guys involved in NASCAR to be living together and ultimately get along. So it's been fun.
That's real cool. I'm glad you made it up to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and it's definitely a move that I'm super thrilled about. Now to kind of call a place home up here is definitely really nice.
So are your roommates also drivers too, or are they just other members like pit crew or mechanics or other people in the industry?
Yeah, so one of my roommates is a driver. My other roommate is a PR marketing guy for an Xfinity Series team, as well as an agency in the sport. So that handles sponsors and marketing partners that are trying to get into the sport. So pretty cool little combo that we got there. Definitely cool to have people that are involved in the industry and that are also really good friends of mine living together. So been a fun few weeks since we've kind of moved in and have started this venture, and I can only imagine all the cool stuff that we plan on doing moving forward. We've still got some things that we want to try to put together for this new place of ours, and just a matter of time before we got MTV Cribs coming over to the house and checking it out.
It's
I
gonna be the
love it.
Area 51 cribs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to
Yeah, so-
we'll have to start a series of that.
Yeah, so if I just accidentally show up at your door, don't be too freaked out.
That's fair. It's going to be hard to miss, especially since we've got, if you peek through the window, we got NASCAR diecast, door panels, photo of Dale Earnhardt on the wall. So it's, you could probably tell we're either really big NASCAR fans or we're in the industry. There's only, it's hard to tell the difference, but we're just, at the end of the day, we're race fans at heart. Even though we're involved in the industry, we're just big race fans that happen to be living the ultimate racing dream.
Now that did have to be cool to have, be that close to home last week and be able to go back and forth. And, now did you end up crashing at home and going back and forth to the racetracks, or?
Yeah, that was the nice part about it. Thankfully, the area that we're in, it's a short 20-30 minute drive, give or take. And it was really cool. Got to run the truck race and, had a pretty decent day there. And then the next day got to support my roommate in the Xfinity race, and get to hang out with my other roommate as well, with his team. And, get to hang out with a bunch of other people that I'm friends with in the industry. And, it's always a good day at the racetrack, whether I'm in the seat or not. Just the community that NASCAR is just so welcoming and so cool to be a part of. And it's just awesome to be able to be kind of this close and to be able to call NASCAR's home state essentially my home as well.
Now you are 19 years old right now, correct?
Yes, sir. I'll be 20 in July.
So for being 19 years old, it blows my mind how you started at 12 years old and you're at 19 already racing in Xfinity and the Truck Series. That is, obviously is a testament to your skill and being a wheelman. So in 2022, you were the Carolina Pro Late Model Series Rookie of the Year. You raced the number 51 Ford Pro Late Model for E33 Motorsports, which is my understanding, a driver development team for Rick Ware Racing. Is that correct? So how did that deal come about, and how did you had a really good year that year. I mean, your stats were, you raced 11 of the 13 races in that series. You had 3 wins, 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and you only had 1 race that was out of the top 10, and that was a P13. I mean, that's phenomenal. I mean, explain how that whole thing happened and how you put that success to drive you to the next level at Xfinity and trucks.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was doing limited late models at Hickory Motor Speedway, representative for RWR, who already had their development deal tie-ins with E33, which was branded as a different team at the time. We had become really good friends and had talked at the racetrack, and they just said, hey, we think you're doing a really good job for your first year in a full-size stock car. We'd love to have you if it makes sense. And ultimately for me, that it made sense to make that next step from racing just at the same track every week to having that tie in with a NASCAR team and knowing, hey, there could be a long-term plan rather than just year to year in late models. On top of that, as well as the traveling series, which is something that I had wanted to do for a long time, but never really had the funding or the right opportunity that made sense to travel with this series. And for me, that was a no-brainer. So, talked to all of our partners and a couple of new partners that we had at that time, and put that deal together. And, like you said, it was a success. Previously, RWR and E33, they had, 0 wins and, would just struggle to get in the top 10 at times, give or take on the car counts. And, we were able to turn it around and, got a couple podium finishes and, won 3 of the first 6 races that year, which was super awesome for us, given, we had older equipment, and we were still building, as a program and for myself as a driver. So, and the awards that came with it were just, an equal bonus. And, I'm still thankful for those guys. I'm still very close with everybody over there. It was definitely a huge help and a huge, I guess, target on my back, given, hey, this kid's winning races for Rick Ware Racing, which at the time was, pretty foreign, but, now they're in a little bit of everything. And, Clay Greenfield's winning NHRA races, they're winning motocross races. I think it's only a matter of time before they get a NASCAR Cup Series win with the year that Justin Haley is having. And there's several other opportunities as well for them to continue to succeed. And I think they're very, very close. So, super happy to be a small part of RWR's history. And, it's definitely helped me given the opportunity. It's one of the reasons why I got my Truck Series debut was because, a representative for an agency reached out to me and said, hey, I think you can make your NASCAR truck debut this year. And I know a guy that's got an open seat. And ultimately that was Nathan Blaisdell, who owns Snowbelt Management, an agency that, has really turned the corner for sponsors and for drivers and teams to get more involved and to really, just excel on the business side and behind the scenes. And ultimately, he introduced me to Josh Rayom of Rayom Brothers Racing. And, as soon as I got my NASCAR approval, we, led into my debut race. So, that time period in 2022 was that was a huge breakout year for me. And in my opinion, it's what put me on the map.
I do have to brag a little bit. Rick Ware Racing isn't on everybody's map as far as the shops to go to around the Carolinas and Mooresville. And you talk about a dude that has some cool stuff. You walk into the lobby over at Rick Ware, you see everything from, like you said, funny car, dirt bikes. I think last time I went up there, Ryan Newman's car was on the showroom. That 51 is on everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Rick has done a phenomenal job with growing his program and getting it to the status that it is. There's very few team owners that are at the level that they're at. The first few team owners that I think of that are involved in a little bit of everything, it's Roger Penske, Chip Ganassi, and then now you put Rick Ware in that category. People might not think of that originally, but Rick has done a phenomenal job with growing his program from, at one point was a start and park Xfinity team to what's now a, top 20 contending cup team and multi-class racing series where they're winning races and, almost a little bit of everything that they're doing nowadays. And, as far as the NASCAR side, I think they're as close to winning races and, potentially getting a playoff spot as they ever have. And the stats don't lie. And I think Justin Haley's done a great job over there with helping turn that program around with his experience. I'd say Kaz Grala has done a good job of that as well with being consistent and trying to give that opportunity as well to Rick and helping build that program. Kaz is a very experienced race car driver. So I think Rick's got the pieces of the puzzle to really grow the NASCAR side of things as well. And, it's pretty cool, getting to talk with him whenever I go to a cup race and catch up and, He's always, tried to look out for me and giving me advice and helping me move forward to, hopefully one day I get to drive his cup car whenever the time is right.
Definitely
You
rooting on
said
for that.
you said Nate Bladzel. I actually know who Nate is. He also not only is an agent, but he's actually a rock star, a rock musician. He has his own band called Losers Club, and not too long ago released a new album. It's really good. So shout out to Nate and his band also. But yeah, I know Nate. I've never met him in person, but a friend of mine knows him really well, and that's how I got to know Nate through that person. But yeah, he's a good guy. He does a lot for guys that are independent or starting out, that to get them hooked up with teams and sponsors and everything. So him and his team Snowbelt, they do a great job. Actually, I reached out to Nate before this year to be a guest on our podcast. So I hadn't heard anything back from him. That was a while ago, and I know he's been busy, so I hadn't reached out to him. But at some point, we'll probably ask him to be a guest on our show, because he's got a pretty interesting story too, as far as how everything happened, to become an agent and getting involved in NASCAR and the racing scene. So, but I think, let's see. Oh, I was going to ask you too. So you went from racing at like your pro late model to the truck series. That's a big step up. What was that process like? I know you have to get approved by NASCAR, licensed to race on like an intermediate short track super speedway, and that's walk us through what that process was like for you.
Yeah, when Nate reached out to me originally about making my truck debut, I really didn't think much of it, just because NASCAR was not on my radar at the time. I just strictly thought, I need more seat time in late models, or potentially ARCA or something like that. But no, NASCAR was excited to have me and to allow me to move forward with that opportunity with Josh Rayome. And it was an adjustment. You go from 100 lap races to anywhere between 135 to 200 lap races and live pit stops, and so many factors that go into it and are crucial in paying attention to detail versus those late model short track races. But it was an adjustment that I was able to get comfortable with after my first few races in 2022. Ran 4 for Josh, and I think they were good learning experiences. I think with with where his program was at the time, it was the perfect opportunity for me to go learn and not really have too big of expectations. But I think Josh has obviously come a long way since I've joined that program. There's definitely a change in the pace and in the scene at that shop and with that program, and it's in the best way possible. With his alliance with Ford and getting better equipment and having good people surrounding him, building that program. Versus when I came in originally, where we didn't have a lot of up-to-date stuff. We had older bodies and didn't have any manufacturer support. And we looked at top 30s as wins. Now we look at top 20s and around 20th as really good days and building blocks towards more. So it's been really cool to be a part of that since that day and through that process. Climbing up the NASCAR rankings with him, and he's another guy that has looked out for me and my best interest, whether I was driving for him or not. So he's been a phenomenal person to lean off of for advice, whether that's being a driver or sponsorship and marketing or representing yourself, the whole 9 yards. But nowadays it's pretty hard to get his attention. They call him the African squirrel for a reason, because he's always going from one end of a building to another because he always has to get involved in something or stay on top of things. But he's a hustler, and I have a lot of respect for him because of that.
How's your season going so far, Mason?
Yeah, so this season, it kind of took a little bit of a unexpected twist. Scott Osteen, who is the owner of Floridian Motorsports now, who's been a longtime partner of mine for the last 2.5 years, came to me and said, "Hey, I'm starting a truck team, and I want you to drive for me." And that's been cool to take on that anchor driver role for him. So I've done a couple races for him. I've done 2 races so far for Josh Rayom and Rayom Brothers Racing. Still got some races planned between both of them for the rest of this year, which is pretty exciting. So I'll have some news come out with over the next couple months leading up to those races. Yeah, to answer your question, I think this season we've been fast. We've been fast. Just need to put the finishes together. But we have been more consistent, I feel like, than last year. Last year was a really big learning curve for me. There would be weekends where I'd be quick and for whatever reason not get the finishes that we wanted. And that didn't help with bouncing back and forth between team to team, but I think it's still learning experiences, and I worked with some good people last year that have helped me learn and develop to be in the position where I'm at now, to where, instead of my goals and expectations being try to set the world on fire, it's, hey, we got to be consistent. We got to bring equipment home clean and be able to build. And I feel like we've been able to do that a lot this year. I've been able to, I think my worst finish this year is 29th. And, that might not sound like much to the average fan, but, for the small teams that I'm working with, that's a pretty solid foundations to start out so far. And, we're only getting better. I think, we've had some good runs this year. Luck has kind of played a little bit of a factor in, finishing a little bit higher. But, between helping Floridian Motorsports build and then, looking for results over at RBR this year as well, I'd say so far this year's been pretty good. Just we need a little bit of luck to get those finishes and capitalize on that. But speed's there, the confidence is there. I show up to the track with a lot more swagger and a lot more pep in my step, and that's an exciting thing to have as a race car driver. So hopefully we can be able to have that momentum and get the finishes that we deserve, and just keep building. It's all about seat time and building a notebook, and I think we're doing a good job of that so far.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was actually over at the Racing Warehouse and doing some research, and you've made it big time when the Racing Warehouse has your rookie bumper sitting up on the shelf, looking you right dead in the eye. So that's got to be cool. Just to have that type of persona and say, I got to drive that. And just a dream come true. Like you said, just a couple years ago, you were driving Bandoleros, and now you're moved to the Mecklenburg Concord area and racing professionally as a NASCAR race driver.
Yeah, it's been awesome, and it's crazy to look back. I tell people all the time, before I started really taking racing seriously, my dad, who's been, obviously an incredible father, but he's been my right-hand man through this whole journey. He was brutally honest with me when I started this after he did some research on, what it took to get to the NASCAR levels. And I remember we were watching a race and he just told me, he said, "Hey, son, just before we start this, just know there's a 99% chance that you don't make it." but there's that 1% chance. And, that's the 1% chance was, brutally honest, but it was realistic. And I remember him pointing out a car that was, for a smaller team going a lap down. And he said that 1% chance is probably going to be you out there, but it's still a chance to go out there and compete at that level. And, I told him at the time, I was like, I'd rather try to see if there is a chance than not. So it's crazy to think that after, 7, 8 years now, looking back at that to where we're at now, I mean, I think I've got about 13 truck starts under my belt now. And we've got, 5 Xfinity Series starts as well. So, and only more stuff to come, between truck starts this year and then, hoping to be back in the Xfinity Series once or twice this year. Got some potential opportunities there, and just always comes down to, just putting everything etched in stone. But, just knowing like the opportunities are there and there's more room to grow and, continuing to try to make the most of every opportunity, no matter how big or small it is. It's been awesome. It has truly been awesome to do this, no matter whether it's, the highest of highs, the lowest of lows. It's still a privilege to be able to race at this level, and, grateful for the opportunities and the people that have helped me get this far.
That's an awesome story. I love it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that being humble is like one of the biggest things I would assume to keep you grounded, because you went from being successful at the asphalt late model thing to going to NASCAR, where you're having success, but just you're not winning like you were. And how does that affect you mentally, when that the difference between the two, when you're used to being winning and stuff, going to where you're running in equipment where you're getting the most out of it, but you're running in the 20s or mid pack or whatever. How does that keep you motivated and driven to keep doing what you're doing? You sort of explained it, but I was just curious, that mental mindset that you have to get through that.
Yeah, so, to the point in my story, from when my dad explained that, the moment that I saw that, I knew, like, hey, these are my goals and expectations, and these are what these smaller teams are trying to achieve on a week-to-week basis. And, the moment I got into NASCAR, I wasn't surprised. It was like, hey, these are my goals, and, if I can reach them, then that's awesome. So, yeah, it's an adjustment. It's not an adjustment that a lot of drivers would find ideal. I guess I came into it more prepared than others. But at the end of the day, you got to appreciate the victories when they do come, with the goals and the expectations that you do have. So, whenever you finish top 20, then it's like, all right, great, let's get the champagne and start spraying on pit road. And, we're not even in victory lane. We're celebrating a, 18th, 19th place finish. So, but yeah, and then, even top 25s are good days. And, you just try to think from a team perspective as well, as like, hey, what are the goals and expectations for this team? Is it stay in the top 30 in points, for example, in owners points, so we don't have to be in positions where we have to make the race every week. It's things like that too that you got to keep in mind. And as long as you have those realistic goals and expectations, there's not really any true disappointment either. I feel like even for guys that do get those opportunities, they tend to be unrealistic and say, oh, well, I can drive this truck or Xfinity car that normally runs 25th and go run 15th. Well, expectations need to be realistic. If the car can run 25th, then all right, maybe we try to get a result around 20th to or around 20th, I guess you could say. So it's just things like that you try to keep in mind. You got to understand that these teams don't have the budget either that these bigger teams have. So certain goals and expectations are almost bigger achievements than in themselves. And you just never know who can come calling too if you meet those goals and expectations as you're driving for smaller teams, whether that's another opportunity with another small team to go drive at the last second, or you never know what big manufacturer or big team could be looking at you and say like, hey, if this guy ever got the proper sponsorship or some good funding, or if we presented an opportunity for him, we know he's going to take care of the equipment, run good, and finish races, and who knows, he could contend. So it's things like that you try to keep in mind, and keep those realistic expectations as well. It's things like that keep you driven and allow you to excel at the opportunities that are presented.
That's awesome. It sounds like you have a plan for success for a long time there, with the mental fortitude and that belief. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. It's the biggest thing is just don't be too disappointed. Another thing that tends to be foreshadowed that I try to remind myself is there's a lot of drivers out there across the country, or I even say across the world, that would love to have the opportunity to compete at this level. Whether that's for a race winning team or a team that runs in that mid pack. So to have the opportunity and to be able to hustle for these opportunities when 12-year-old me didn't know if I'd have that opportunity, or a kid out there that never got the chance to have that to do it. What I'm doing at this level is another thing that keeps me motivated and keeps me humble too, because there's only 36 38 guys that get to go do this on a consistent basis, and I'm grateful enough to say that I'm one of those 36 38.
What is your all-time favorite NASCAR moment and also NASCAR driver?
I would say Jeff Gordon was 100% my favorite driver growing up. My dad was a Jeff Gordon fan, so kind of just pass the torch on that end, I guess. But I'd say one of my favorite races was probably, ironically enough, probably when Gordon won his last race, or potentially when Dale Jr. ran his final Cup race. Because I was in person for Junior's final Cup race and at Homestead back in 2017. So kind of a toss up between those two on the races, but grew up a Gordon fan. That was one of the first NASCAR drivers I ever had memory of, and it's something me and my dad have bonded over, and it's hard to. You never forget, the first NASCAR driver that you fell in love with, whether that was them or their stats or their paint schemes. There's so many factors to it.
Now, obviously, you get to walk around in the garages, Friday, Saturday, possibly Sunday. Is there ever a time where you walk around the corner and go, "Oh my God, look at that," or look?
Absolutely, it's that's another thing is, like I mentioned earlier, I may be a driver and get to be involved in the sport on a whole new level, but I'm still a race fan at heart. So anytime that you see one of your heroes that you watch growing up for years, it's always something cool to kind of take in, being like, wow, I'm in the presence of Jeff Gordon, who's right at the 9 pit box, or Kevin Harvick, who's hanging out with the Stewart Haas guys over at the hauler, like literally like right in front of me. Or even getting to race with some of those guys. I was fortunate enough last year to run the Xfinity race at Miami, and I ran with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Ryan Newman, and I still look back at that and I'm like, man, I watched these guys on TV for years and years and years, and collected die casts and all these different kinds of things. So to even be in the same field as some of these guys and in the presence of some of these guys is so cool. You know, as for a guy like myself who just has dreamed of having that kind of opportunity to do something even remotely close to that.
That's cool. That's what I always like to ask people, if even if you've been in a business for years, like we talked to Cap Houston, a couple weeks back, and he's like, yeah, if it ever ends up not being that way, he goes, I've lost it. When Jeff walks by you, or like you said, Kevin, Richard Petty walks by you, and you're able to look at him and go, are you serious? I get to do this for a living, like you said, 1%. And, that's your life. And I just look at it as a fan and go, man, that's complete envy,
Yeah, it'd be like
Absolutely.
same way. It'd be like, pinch me. Is this real? I mean, I'm in this garage. I'm racing against Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman, or whoever that like you said, you grew up watching. That would just like blow my mind. It would be one of the coolest things. Just not as like as a driver, but just as a fan in general, racing. It's just, that's just so cool, and I'm glad that you have had the opportunity to do that, and I'm extremely happy for you. Like I said before, from just talking with you, you seem like you're a really humble, great guy that is really motivated and has realistic goals, and is driven to meet those goals, and then once they're met, to overcome them and set new ones. So I think that's probably the reason why you've had so much success at being almost 20 years old already, and only been racing for like 8 years or whatever, 8-9 years.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that, and those words certainly mean a lot to me, and it's something that I don't necessarily pound my chest about, but I definitely look at that and I say, hey, I'd rather set these goals and expectations for myself than set myself up for essentially disappointment or feeling let down. So um having it takes a lot to be at this level. There's no question about that. Especially for a guy like myself who I feel like I have a lot to prove still. And I think I still have a lot to learn. I'm no expert, even though this is my second, call it full-time year in NASCAR. But I'm still willing to learn, whether that's as a driver or a marketing representative or to build my own brand, and to continue learning as a person as well, and growing and trying to understand things better. Um, and I just there's always more opportunity to do that and to learn and to grow. So any opportunity that I can get to have that is an opportunity to capitalize on.
Well, and I think we get that is we get to do this for fun. We get to talk to you. We get to talk to other drivers, crew members, crew chiefs, sponsors. So as a fan, I really appreciate you taking time out of your life, to do this with us and for us. It's definitely greatly appreciated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. And I appreciate you guys reaching out to me and having me on the show. Anytime that I can have the opportunity to sit down and talk with anybody is always super fun. So I appreciate you guys and what you guys are doing for for sponsors and for drivers and like myself, having the opportunity to come on your show and talk racing. It's always a blast.
That's one of the reasons why we're all three big race fans. Obviously, if you can look behind us on the screen, but that's the reason why we started this podcast, because a lot of the big name drivers, they get all the attention, and it's the smaller teams and the younger drivers and the sponsors or partners or whatever, they don't get a lot of attention that they deserve. So that's the main reason why we decided to do this podcast, to help promote the sport and let other people that enjoy the sport like we do see the other side of it that's not, really publicized by the bigger news media, I guess you could say, or that covers the sport. So yeah, when we really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us and everything. And we hope you have a long career in NASCAR, have a lot of success, and you got a good group of people around you to lean on for support and everything. So I think, in my opinion, I see good things in your future for you. So just keep grinding and doing what you're doing, and I think you're gonna be successful.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys having me on and doing what you guys do to give guys like myself an opportunity to share our stories and our ventures in sport. Like you said, it's tough because smaller guys like myself don't exactly get the opportunities to talk about our stories and our partners and the people that help make this happen. So anytime there's an opportunity to do that is always a good opportunity. So I hope you guys keep up the great work. It's you guys are doing something that a lot of guys like myself don't get the opportunity to do. And I think I can speak on behalf of a lot of guys that are in the same position as me when we say that we greatly appreciate it. And we as we grow, we want guys like you as well to grow and ultimately build up as well.
Well,
That's
we
fun.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for, like I said, like they're saying also, thank you for coming on. And if you ever want to come back on, you're more than welcome to. Like I said before, we tried to get Jonathan on here with you, but he is actually with Rico right now at a sprint car race. And he sent me a picture of them all hanging out. He said, "I'll see you guys next week." So hopefully we can maybe get you back on next week to make a surprise when he's on.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan and his family are really good people, and I'd be more than happy to come back on the show whenever you guys have an opportunity for me to hop on. It's like I said, it's always a pleasure to talk racing and have some fun.
Well, since you're here, real quick, we'll touch this topic. What are your thoughts of Stewart Haas closing their doors at the end of the season?
Oh man, it's tough. This sport is so tough, whether you're the biggest team or the smallest team in racing. At the end of the day, behind the scenes, for this is a business, and it takes a lot to run that business. And it's grueling and demanding, for as crazy as it sounds sometimes, but NASCAR is a demanding sport. It's a fun one at the racetrack, but behind the scenes, it's tough. It was definitely a little bit of a shock, but the rumors have been speculating, but at the same time, rumors are rumors. They could be false, they could be true. You never know. But Gene Haas and Tony Stewart, they built a phenomenal foundation, have set their names in the history books, winning two championships and multiple races and crown jewel events. They've given a lot of great drivers opportunities to drive race winning cars and championship contending cars. And, I think the legacy that they built is something that everybody that's been a part of Stewart Haas can be really proud of. So they got a lot to build on, and hopefully they can have a really great rest of the year and close out a incredible chapter in their history.
Yeah,
Now,
that was well said. That's exactly the same sentiments that I had too. I hope they all have success, and I hope everybody from there is able to be absorbed back into the NASCAR field somehow, and the drivers that are part of Stewart Haas Racing and Xfinity Cup are able to find a new home wherever it may be. So, yeah, they did it. Tony and Gene did a lot for the sport of NASCAR, and I'm sure probably will continue to in some way after they even are out of the business, or the sport, I should say.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. There's definitely some opportunities out there for people to be able to kind of rebound even after something like that. And I wish everybody that is a part of Stuart Haas a successful end of the year as they close their chapter. And hopefully a lot of those same people get an exciting opportunity to open a new one.
so if somebody wanted to follow you on social media or get a hero card from you, how would they do so?
Yeah, so as far as the social media goes, at Mason Maggio 1 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and then Facebook is Mason Maggio Racing. Uh, Anybody wants a hero card, be sure to send it to Rayon Brothers Racing, and their address with the self address stamp envelope in there. And we got a bunch of cool hero cards coming up on the way with some cool sponsorship stuff. So be sure to be on the lookout for those and get a couple signed ones back in the mail.
Awesome. Well, Mason, I don't want to hold you up anymore. I know you're a busy guy, so we want to thank you again for coming on, and good luck the rest of the season. And hopefully, we'll see you at Pocono when Rob and I are there.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on. Always fun to talk racing and be able to, just kind of have a good old fashioned conversation. And hopefully, I get to be back on the show soon. And hopefully we'll see you guys at Pocono as well.
Sounds good. We really appreciate you coming on, Mason, and wish you the best of luck the rest of this year and in your future racing career.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that a bunch. And hopefully we'll continue to grab a shovel and keep digging.
Life's a garden, baby.
Life is a garden. Yes, sir.
All right. You have a good night, Mason.
Take care, Mason.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, that was segment 1 with Mason Maggio, and that was brought to you by Alliance Driveway Solutions. And I wanted to bring up segment 2, which was Memorial Day weekend, brought to you by Spartan Waste. Yesterday was Memorial Day. We are going to do a moment of silence to recognize the brave warrior men and women of our military that have paid the ultimate sacrifice protecting us and our freedoms. We will never forget them or their families. And we're going to take that moment of silence now. Thank you. So Memorial Day weekend, I'm going to bring up the thorn, I guess you would say. The rain. It had to rain. it had to rain. Kyle Larson goes for the double. I'm super excited about it. I'm watching him, I'm watching the hype and everything like that. It was awesome. And then it gets delayed. You could tell in Kyle's face when they were interviewing him, like, I don't know if I'm gonna make this race. Like he knew he was obviously Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick said you're staying, but and Justin Allgaier, which did a fantastic job in the 5 car. But I just my heart sinks for Kyle because he got there and then NASCAR's like, yeah, we're not. It just dang.
Yeah,
Well-
it's hard because I talked to you guys, from the north. You're in that weather pattern of Indy. And my parents are only about 3 hours north of Indy, and they're saying, all right, it's raining. And then I'm down here in Charlotte and I'm going, man, it's beautiful right now. It's beautiful right now. We're gonna get some racing in. What in the hell's going on up in Indy? It's beautiful down here. Let's just get the race going. And just like everybody else, I really thought that was going to be one of those, as Dale Jr. called it, the debris caution. We were listening to the scanners, watching Facebook. They were tracking Kyle all the way from Indy to Concord, from Concord, to the bull ring right next to Charlotte Motor Speedway, him on the golf cart getting there, and then all of a sudden the caution flies. And I'm sitting here and I'm only about 20 minutes away from the track. I'm like, there's no rain at all. And then I kid you not, probably 5 minutes later, just like everywhere else, it just opened up and
That's
just
monsoon.
poured. I mean, yeah, would I have liked to see them finish a crown jewel race like that on Monday? Yes. Especially with it being so close to home. It's not like these guys didn't go home Sunday night and think that they couldn't make it to another race on that Sunday. I mean, Hendrick's backyard is literally at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's 2.5 miles, if that. So I would have really, really, really liked to see them finish that out. But I understand why they couldn't. I mean, it was over halfway. So sometimes you just got to call it.
Yeah, I think Bob Podcrest said that NASCAR told him that even though the track was dry, and I think Bobby and you talked about it, they said something about the humidity was high and it wasn't drying as well as they liked it to, and they needed to be done with the race between 1 and 2 a.m. For some
Track
reason.
wasn't gonna
I don't
be
know if it was
dry
an
till 1 or
ordinance.
2.
What's that?
I said the track wasn't going to be dry till 1 or 2.
Oh, is that what
the
it was?
issue.
Oh, okay. I knew there was something about 1 or 2 a.m. and I was like, well, I thought that year that Austin Dillon took out the catch fence, they ended up racing after that, but I could be wrong. But either way, I was sort of, I'm like, Kyle, I felt really bad for Kyle Larson because he gets there and he's in his race suit. Allgaier gets out, and then they're like in the rain delay, the weather comes, and then they finally call it, and it's like you could tell Kyle Larson looked like he just got gut punched. It was like apparently, from what I understand, he lost 70 points for not being at that race, and I haven't heard if NASCAR gave him a waiver or not. I don't know if you guys have heard anything, but as far as I know, I haven't heard if they gave him a waiver or not. And if they didn't, then he's not going to be in the playoffs, even though he's won a race this year, because he has to start according to their rule book, every race. So that's another whole interesting thing. But yeah, the weather was weird. It started out that morning and in Indy, and then all of a sudden, Dave, you were saying, the weather's popping up down here in Charlotte. And
Yeah, I think that's all we talked about from probably about 10 o'clock in
Yeah.
the morning when I was watching Monaco,
Yeah.
all the way to midnight on, Monday morning, going,
Yep.
all right, are they going to do it? Are they not going to do it?
Yep.
You guys are, my northern meteorologist, and, I'm down here and I'm going, man, it's absolutely beautiful here. Let's switch. if NASCAR
Yeah.
knows it's going to rain, in the afternoon, all right, let's put them on at 11 o'clock. Let's start Indy at 6.
Yeah, the problem I guess with Indy is they don't have lights there, which I didn't realize that. I thought Indy had lights at the track. I guess I never paid attention and realized that.
Yeah, I think they've got lights on the infield because they do run some of the IMSA races and some of the MotoGP bikes at night.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have a full lit racetrack.
Yeah, that's what they were saying, that they couldn't run past whatever sunset was. I think it was like around 8:45 or 9 o'clock or something like that, or whatever it was. I
But
don't know.
if anybody online wants to have fun, go on TikTok and look up the Snake Pit for the Indy 500. I've been to Indy 500 3 times now, and I had never heard of such a thing, but I'm
When
so
they were
glad.
talking about it, I never heard of it either, and I was like, Snake Pit, what the hell is that?
Right, and I was so thankful that through my 20s, my dad kept me on a leash and kept me, at the front stretch. So, I behaved myself. But just look up that, and it kind of looks like Talladega weekend went horribly wrong. It makes NASCAR almost look classy, where I thought IndyCar was like, oh, just
Yeah.
a little less fancy than Formula E, but a little more dignity than NASCAR. I was completely dumbfounded, and just the amount of people passed out on some of the videos was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I saw they had some videos from the area with all the garbage and stuff that was left behind, and immediately I thought of like Talladega. And then also when I was working as a sheriff's deputy, we have a concert venue not far from here in our county called Alpine Valley Music Theater, and it reminded me of the parking lot after the concerts. I mean,
Right.
you'd have couches, chairs, you name it, depending on what concert it was. If it was in a Jimmy Buffett concert, you'd have a full bar that somebody built just for the concert, and you have a big thing of sand in front of it. And I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, I agree, Dave. The Snake Pit thing, I didn't know what it was, but then they showed some pictures of it, and I'm like, okay, this looks sort of like Talladega Boulevard here. And then when today I saw it on social media, I don't remember, might have been Indianapolis Speedway's social media on X, where they showed the infield there, that area, and it was just garbage everywhere. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it's a prestigious golf course on the inside of Indy.
Seriously?
And there was people passed out on the fairway.
Oh, I didn't know there was a golf course in the infield of Indy.
Yep.
Wow, I never knew that. I've never been there, so
Something awesome.
wow.
So we're gonna get to segment 3 because segment 2 it kind of blends in with segment 3. So the racing all weekend was absolutely fantastic. Jeremy qualified P24, and by the way, this segment is brought to you by Action RV. This is the race recap. So Jeremy qualified P4 or P24, and Rob, I'll let you do stage 1, 2, and 3. But as he started towards the back, he got kind of jumbled up, and then all of a sudden he shook that lucky rabbit's foot in there and ended up P13, and it was awesome. I mean, I was like screaming at the TV, like, go top 10, go.
Yeah, I mean, especially so like in practice, his car was not, it was an ill handling car. It was not handling right. So they did a big adjustment on it, and it went the opposite direction, and he qualified P24. So then to start the race, it was really ill handling. And he ended stage one in P34. They took a big swing to do a bunch of changes on the car, and Jeremy goes back out stage two, and it's still ill handling, and they take more big swings at it to try to change it so he could run the upper part of the track, and he could only run the bottom. His car was way too bad of handling up higher on the track where he needed to run to be able to do some passing, and he just couldn't do it. So he ended stage two at P29. Stage three, they did some more big swings and changes on the setup of the car. He ended up during that stage going a lap down, ultimately got in position to be the lucky dog. After a couple cautions, he got a wave around, and with 25 laps to go, there was a caution. And they were one of 4 teams that had one set of sticker tires left to put on the car, which was huge. So they at that caution, they restarted P18 with sticker tires on the car and an adjustment. They went back out, and with 15 laps to go, Austin Hill and Cole Custer decided to play Smash Up Derby, and Austin Hill tried to play wrecker service with Austin Hill's car, or not Austin, Cole Custer's car, by driving underneath the rear end of it. And
So I just got breaking news.
what's that?
Effective today, AM Racing has parted ways with Joe Williams, the crew chief for Haley Deegan and the number 15 Ford Mustang. It just came across my phone.
Wow.
Did not see that coming.
No, I didn't either. Wow. But to finish up with this deal, Hill and apparently Joey Logano, they had the drivers, which was a cool thing for the Xfinity race. All drivers did the pit row and the in the booth coverage. So that was cool to see. But Logano made a comment about apparently Hills and Custer's spotters were going at it in the spotter area on the roof of the area of the stands as a result of that incident. So basically, with the race restarted with 12 laps to go, Jeremy at one point was as high as, I believe it was P11, 10 or 11, and was it 6?
No, 10.
Or 10?
10.
P10. I'm sorry, I can't read there, Bobby. Sign language, I'm not good at it, I guess. So yeah, he got up to P10 and ended up ultimately finishing a race at P13. So for having an ill-handling car the whole day, going a lap down, getting back on the lead lap, having the fresh sticker tires at the end, everything, once again, the no quit mentality and that team and everybody working hard and making sure they didn't go more laps down. It worked out, and they ended up with a decent top 15 finish, which if you looked at the beginning of the race, the first 2 stages, it was like, oh no, this is going to be another one of those days. We're running in the back with the crazy animal drivers that like to do stupid things, and we're going to end up in somebody else's business and be done for the day. And fortunately that didn't happen. So, but yeah, it was good to hear Jeremy and Mark about, on the radio being relieved and actually finally having a decent run compared to what has been going on lately with the team. So the car was all in one piece. I do know at one point, I think it was in stage 1, Jeremy came on the radio and he said he bumped the wall a little bit with the right front because he was having issues steering the car. But other than that, I mean, it was a decent day. Everything played out to their advantage with the extra sticker tires, and they finished pretty well. Chase Elliott ended up winning in the number 17 Hendricks motor car Chevy. I think somebody said it was his first Xfinity win since 2016 or 2017, whenever he was last in the Xfinity series. So
Yeah, that was kind of weird to see Chase
yeah,
and Kyle Busch out there running Xfinity. It just seemed kind of out of place. It makes more sense for those guys in trucks, I think, than
Yeah.
Xfinity. I don't know. It felt weird.
usually when the Cup guys race Xfinity cars, it's like at a new track,
Mhm.
or it's at a road course, so they can get used to the road course. Even though obviously the new gen Cup cars drive a lot differently than the Xfinity cars, at least they can somewhat get feeling for where bumps are in the track, or whatever, that type of stuff. But yeah, I agree with you, Dave. It was weird watching those guys in an Xfinity car on a Charlotte oval.
Right. Because I think I had saw somewhere on social media that Bush has 11 wins at Charlotte. So there's no reason for him to, yes, the bourbon car did look really sweet, but just to see Kyle behind the number 33 car, it still feels weird. Just like him driving the number 7 Spider car. I don't know if I'm just caught up in my get off my grass type of thing where I want him to be back in Eminem's car. I want to see him drive the Mobile One, or Auto Light 51 truck. But that's it. It just feels weird to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is good to raise the level of competition
Right.
for that series, but at the same time, they have really good. Well, we all agree that our opinion is the Xfinity Series is the best racing in NASCAR. But
I still agree 100%.
yeah. So,
And
but either way, yeah, it was a good race.
if
I
if you notice,
it-
Rob,
what's that?
I said if you notice that Chase ran the throwback car to Rick Hendrick's son, Ricky.
Yep, Ricky. Yeah,
Every time they run the Xfinity car, that's what it's. He even said that in the interview that this is for Ricky.
yeah.
So-
I did hear him say that. Yep.
Yep. And then the backwards hat when they win for any of the Hendricks races.
Right.
Yep.
And overall, the race was entertaining more than the Cup race, like usual. I'm starting to sing this song a lot lately of how the Xfinity Series runs better than the Cup Series. They need to go back down to another car, like that. The Gen 7 is not where it's at.
Well, to disagree with you, I've went and I've watched the I've seen the next gen cars. Heck, I've seen Cara tomorrow there. I've seen just about every car that they've unveiled within the last 8 years run Charlotte, and this was by far the best quality racing that they've had at Charlotte, as far as running the bottom, running the middle, and being able to run the top, that I've seen in quite some time. Xfinity and at the Cup level. Now I could be talking out my ass, but I've been to enough races where I've seen Truex, run 297 out of 300 laps. You talk about being drunk and bored. That is a long race. When the only one you're not, you're not leading under caution. That was boring.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
did you guys see in the Xfinity race after the race was over that the 31 and 33 went to the wind tunnel and the 39 and I believe the 16 went to the R&D center?
I
I
did
didn't hear
see
anything
something
about
about that. I don't know what the,
Or no, no, not they went to the teardown is what the 16 and the 39 went to the teardown.
yeah, and then the two other cars went to the
Yeah,
wind tunnel.
Yeah, the 31 and the 33.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, hell, that Xfinity race, I was stoked. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know if
what-
it was because Jeremy got P13 or if it was the fact that the racing was just that good. I mean, I enjoyed it. I was sitting out at the lake before the storms came in, and I'm just like, man, this is awesome. Like this race is fun.
And Justin Allgaier had a great car, super
Yeah.
fast car, and I can't remember if he blew a tire or what happened, but he ended up wrecking out of the race. But not only that, did he? I should say, his car, the paint scheme on his car was awesome too. It was a throwback to, I believe, D-Day, the
Yeah.
anniversary of D-Day.
Yeah, actually, I have a picture of that. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, that was really, really, I really like that. And then the other thing, we're talking about the Xfinity series, and then we had Trevor Higgins on, was it 3 shows ago, from Fairway Independent Mortgage. He talked about the American Warrior Initiative. They're on Jeremy's car this week.
We had him on last week.
Was it last week? Holy cow. Either way, that's how great my memory is, I guess. But I obviously know he was on. He said that NASCAR was working with him and that they were going to present a service dog to one of the veterans before the Xfinity race. And I watched it. I didn't see them show any of that. I was sort of disappointed, but did you guys see any of that? Did I miss it, or?
I don't think they aired it, but one thing that's really different about Charlotte, especially Memorial Weekend, is the pageantry pre-race. There is a lot going on, especially since it was the what was it, the drivers only, race as well. I think that kind of got caught up in it as well, from having everybody switching out and camera crews and having Carson Hocevar run everywhere, which I find that kid crazy. I love watching him.
Yeah, all those drivers I think do a great job. Carson Hocevar, I agree. He like, when was that? 2 years ago, where there was a rain delay and they gave him, he either gave him the mic or he took the mic and he just went to town, and
Right.
it was good. I mean, I enjoy when there are drivers, because they can give the exact perspective of what is going on and they can explain things from, because of their experience. And I think it's fun. I love like Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick. It is awesome. I honestly watch the Cup race more to watch those two give each other crap, and then Harvick has his word of the week that he works into, his podcast listeners tell him to send in to work into the thing. Oh my God, it's hilarious. And I can, for the life of me, I cannot think of the other guy's name that's with them. The older gentleman that on the pod or on the broadcast with him, but I feel so bad for him, because he's half the time he's like, oh my God, is Clint and Kevin going to go to blows here? Or
Right.
I mean, oh my God, it's so funny. But yeah, Kevin Harvick is a natural at that. I think just his personality and stuff. And so is Clint Boyer. I mean, those two together it matches really well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward after next year when everything changes. But yeah, that's Justin's car there. Just beautiful car, perfect livery for Memorial Day weekend, paying tribute to all the military members that lost their lives. And yeah, I mean, there were a lot of patriotic cars, but that one I really like that one.
Now, I'm gonna share something, and we were just talking about having Trevor on last week. This was the photo that was on Trevor's Facebook.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Oh, how
The
cool is
American
that?
Warrior Initiative. That's the dog, and I believe that's the gentleman that got the dog.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks for finding
deserved.
that, Bobby. I appreciate that, because I was like, I wish, that could have been something showing, because that was such a cool interview, talking with him and learning about that program. And I was like, oh, this would be such a great story for NASCAR to show this brave warrior that fought for our country, getting a service dog that's going to impact and change his and his family's life for forever. And yeah, that's really cool.
There's a couple more pictures that I'm going to share.
Speaking of that, how hot does that pit box look?
Dude, that pit
Oh.
box is awesome, and you got the Spartanburgers.
Yeah, the Spartanburgers, the new baseball team.
Yep.
You
Yep,
gonna go to a game, Dave?
If I can get out on if they throw down on a Sunday game, I'd love to go see them. And we actually have a minor league team here in Gastonia. So
Oh, really?
yep, which is only about 45 minutes away. So if they're ever in town, heck yeah, I'll go.
Yeah,
you got Armadillo up there. You got some Chevrolet Whitetail. You know,
Batman
I mean we've had a bunch of those guys on there.
yeah. Speaking of Matman, Chad, his I believe it was his mother or mother-in-law passed away, I saw. So we send our condolences to him and his family. We're sorry for your loss.
Yeah, we're
Most
thinking
definitely.
about you. So
I believe it was his mother, if I remember
believe so,
correctly.
too. I believe that is the gentleman also. I don't know what it is about this picture. I know it's blurry forward, but just seeing the American Warrior Initiative on the back end and the wheel, it pops. I
Right.
really love the way that picture looks. So
Yeah, that's just awesome.
Now, were you able to pull up any of those ones from Fan Day?
I can go from TRW.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Dave, you can tell us about the Racing Warehouse's Fan Day that you
Yeah.
and your girlfriend Stacy attended.
Yeah, you talk about cool. I mean, to have Ashton, who was just on, just last week, he was there signing pictures, and taking, signing hero cards, taking pictures with everybody. Kid he looked right at home, for being the underdog. He definitely hit the role. And then of course, Jeremy was there, with the Charlotte car. So I got to see that beforehand, and right afterwards, me and Stacy actually followed them back up to Spartanburg and got to watch it on the dyno. And I tell you what, she sounded mean on the
Awesome.
dyno.
So what do you guys think of the Racing Warehouse Armadillo and Jeremy's car?
It looks awesome.
So that's the first one. Yeah, this one.
Yep, got Jeremy there, got the boss and Queen Killa. Yeah, there's Ashton's car. Yeah. They had actually just put the Racing Warehouse decal on there just before they took that picture. So I think there was a handshake involved somewhere on that. Yep, there's you know, the Armadillo crew and everybody over at TRW. And I do have to say I appreciate it for having, me and Stacy and all the sponsors out there. We had a great time. Had 3 killer cars out there. Good food, giveaways, all sorts of stuff.
And wasn't it Emily's birthday or one of the ladies
Yeah, it
there?
was.
Was
Yep,
it
it was
Emily?
Emily's. Yep, it was Emily's birthday. So second one to the right. I don't, she still looks 20 to me, but I know she's getting up there.
Now, I'm gonna say this because this picture just is awesome. So you got Mark Nelson right here. You got Jamie from Elite. You've got Ray Stevens. I didn't realize that Mark stood this freaking tall and towers always.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So
Yeah,
then you got Mark Mullins. You got Jeremy. This is Eric, and then this wife, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's the queen.
Then you have Ryan Delaney, Tate, and then Ashton. And then so Ashton's car is right here, and then you have Robert Presley's throwback that Tate had built right here.
Now there was a picture of somebody trying to steal that car.
I know you talking about our very own Dave.
Yeah. How cool is that?
See,
By the way, that diecast looks familiar.
Yeah,
that diecast does look eerily familiar. Special thanks to Rob and Jamie for those.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm gonna kick out of the stop share for a second. We're gonna play a little.
But yeah, I made sure because Rob had brought it up the other day, or I think last week when he was asking Ashton about the boom pipe on that Bush car. It looked like a fence post. I mean, so primitive. Oh, look at those handsome fellows right there.
So we have Tate, who is standing there, and he's got his driver, Dave,
Stunt
in
double.
the car.
Yeah.
Stunt double?
Yeah,
Stunt double.
Just don't wreck it. Did you at least take it around the block and do a burnout or something?
Hell no. I've got insurance, but I don't think full coverage is gonna cover me on that one.
Yeah, I was a bit jealous.
But-
that was badass. That was awesome. I was so happy that you were able to do that. That was cool.
And I thank Tate, very much for having that opportunity. And I told him, I said, it fits too good. I said, because he goes, oh, you got to kind of be a little guy to slip in there. And, at 41, I was still able to put one foot over the other, slide in, slap that steering wheel on there with the switch. And I looked over and I'm like, huh, I've only got 4 switches and a starter.
Now,
Yeah.
See ya.
Right. Yeah.
Do you
Out to
think?
Charlotte Motor Speedway I go.
Yeah.
Do you think we can share the dyno?
Yeah. I did ask Jeremy. There was no computer image available. Plus, they weren't running a special engine at this race. So I did get verification that we can share the video.
All right. Well, here's the video that Dave posted, and I take a listen. This thing is awesome. Uh-oh.
escorted me to my spot.
Do what?
You have to go to the next one that's only about 30 seconds when he hits 10.5 on there.
Yeah, it's 7 seconds long.
That is 10,500 RPMs out of a
Holy
V8 pushrod engine.
That's awesome.
That is nuts.
That is nuts.
You
Did
know,
you see the
Jamie-
exhaust coming out of those dual tailpipes on the rear bumper?
No, no.
Well, I will share the.
But you did see me get the hell out of the way when he started going through the gears, because I was
Yeah.
right behind it. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. And then I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, and me and Stacy both took a couple steps to the left, even though he was going forward. I didn't want to be anywhere near the ass end of that car.
Yeah.
Now we have a picture here of Dave with Chad from Matman Designs.
Yeah. Talk about somebody that I'm glad I met in person, you know, that we've talked on the show with. You know, just a super cool guy.
These are Dave's pictures.
See, I didn't want to see, that's the boom pipe. You know,
Yep.
when I said it looked like a squished fence post, you know,
It does.
but I did take a picture of all three interiors on the car just to show you, you know, what old school new tech look like versus you know,
This is
But-
59,
yep, so that's, and
This is
that one's
Ashton.
Ashton's car.
and then that's Jeremy's.
Yep.
Look at the difference between this area right here to that.
Yeah.
Like holy moly! And then shot
Yeah.
dog.
Yep, that's the new shop dog. It has been informed. Dad says yes. Jeremy says no. I almost brought home a dog, but it wouldn't work out.
So it was just a stray dog that just showed up at the shop or something?
Just showed up at the shop. The guys that do all the maintenance for Jeremy's trailer and tractor
Yeah.
were feeding it and watering it and giving it treats, and now and you could tell it was somebody's dog. You can just,
Yeah.
you know, it had been around people, but as soon as Jeremy fired that, because he was just chilling, he could have a care in the world. Jeremy put that steering wheel on it, and that dog was out of there. We looked for probably about 5 minutes. It was probably on the other side of the shop, but I don't blame him. I almost did it myself.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I had watched a couple dynos before, but I've never heard anything like that before. That was absolutely amazing.
Well, guys, remember next week our show will be June 4th, I believe. Let me make sure. Yeah, June 4th will be the next show. We're gonna have Jonathan Morsey on from Richmar Florist. We are also going to have a special return guest. We are going to have I'm drawing a blank. Trevor Higgins back on to talk about his experience at Charlotte.
Nice.
So make sure you guys tune in for that. We're running down a little bit less than a month, or a little bit more than a month until Pocono. Rob and I are getting really excited. I know Dave I wish you could be here.
Right.
Yeah, I wish you could go, man. That'd be awesome.
It'd be a blast. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or X, whatever you call it nowadays. Reminder, if you have not done so, please check out stickygears.com to purchase one of our Area 51 Racing t-shirts for just $15. A portion of the money goes directly to Jeremy Clements Racing to keep Jeremy on the racetrack. Also, please check out Anna More Designs LLC.
Yep.
She does
Got her
awesome,
cup right here.
Yep, she does awesome cups, flags, all sorts of stuff.
She just shared out some pictures for Father's Day on her site today, and pretty cool stuff, pretty witty stuff. So if you get a chance, just follow her on Facebook. Even if you don't know what you want, you see some of her ideas and go, "That's cool."
Well, I will be saying this. It may not happen right now, but coming in the near future, we're going to be doing flags, like bigger flags, like not just yard signs, but actual flags. We're going to do possible hero cards, stickers, all sorts of stuff for Area 51 Racing Podcast. She said that she wants to give back to the podcast, and we're gonna do some cool stuff. So stay tuned for that. I also want to let you guys know that we are going to be doing another Squares giveaway or a Squares donation thing within the next month or so. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do yet, but we are going to do one. I will let everybody know when we do.
Right. And if anybody's got any opinions or want something, feel free to let us know. I mean,
Yeah.
we're here for you guys. So if there's something you guys want as far as memorabilia goes, let us know. As you can see, I've got my hand in the pot of just cool stuff. So just shut up, Bobby. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I mean, Dave is so nice that like that Road America Jeremy Clements race win, his first career win race suit there in the background there on to the right of Dave. It is he worked with me to do payment plans for it. I know Bobby was upset,
God.
but
All right, next. You
hopefully
guys are
Jen,
cool.
my wife, wasn't listening, or I'm pretty sure she probably is, but probably going to be in trouble for saying that. But no, we're joking. Just
Yeah,
giving
we-
each other a hard time. That is just the awesome piece that Dave has in his collection. So
Absolutely.
one of many.
Make sure you guys check out Racing Warehouse on their website. Also Armadillo for new Jeremy Clements hats. They released a whole slew of them again. I think like 6 or 7 more came out. So make sure you guys stay up on those. Dave did get a couple, so I know he has some. Also check out their sheet metal, die cast, and other racing memorabilia that you may be looking for. If you're not sure what you're looking for, message Eric or Emily, and they should be able to get you steered in the right direction.
Dave's got a couple of the hats there,
Yeah.
the new hats.
Yep,
Yeah,
I went with the classic Jeremy Clements, and then the 51 on the side. Classic throwback, the Richardson 112 hat editions. I've worn a couple times. Very comfortable hats. But yeah, like you guys were saying, there's probably at least 15 hats there that I would love to have. Especially some of the white ones. Bobby's got one on the way that he picked up, the white one. Ooh wee. If I had somebody mowing my yard too, I would probably wear it.
I'm wearing that hat fishing, to be exact.
Oh, I'm not gonna talk about the yacht.
Yeah. Anyways, a matter of fact, the hat that Dave has right behind him, the Spartan waist one. Over
Oh,
your other shoulder.
by the race suit.
Yeah. Other shoulder.
Over.
It's on your table.
Oh.
It kind of reminds me of that, but it's white on the backside. And then that like grayish color up front.
Yeah, and they do have these there too. Just as some of the collector ones. As far as crew goes. And then I don't, but yeah, as far as Jeremy Clements hat and swagger, plus they just got a huge shipment of sheet metal in. So if you want the nose off of this car right here, they just got that bad boy in stock. So check out theracingwarehouse.com or the Racing Warehouse on Facebook.
I actually saw it today. I believe it was $300 shipped.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
That's a deal.
And it looks like the whole entire front bumper.
Yeah,
It is.
Doesn't look like it's been cut.
No,
Yeah,
and that car was pristine too because he only ran maybe 40 laps or whatever at the beginning, and then was out for a period and then went back out. So because his brake line broke. So
yep, I got to see that piece in person. It's clean, it's immaculate. As far as a collector goes, if you're a Presley fan or a Jeremy Clements fan, that's it right there. And they probably got about, I would say, 5 or 6 noses, a couple quarter panels, a couple contingency panels. There's a lot of nice hardware coming in.
Absolutely. All right, we want to give a shout out to our partners who make this podcast possible. Beach Ridge Barbershop, Spartan Waste, Impel Union, Alliance Driveway Solutions, First Pacific Funding, Elite Towing and Recovery, Whitetail Smokeless, Fly Informed Concrete Structures, Runner's Roost, Matman Designs, Action RV, Booze Pops, and obviously Jeremy Clements and Jeremy Clements Racing. Without those guys, none of this would be possible. And I want to give a shout out to Dave and Rob. I greatly appreciate everything you guys do week in and week out, and can't thank you guys enough.
We appreciate you.
Exactly, Bobby. We appreciate you as well. Yeah, like Dave said, thank you for what you do.
Greatly appreciate it, guys. All right. Well, with that being said,
It's Booze Pop.
I believe that the old Booze Pop jingle is going to be playing. So y'all have a good night. We will see you next week on Tuesday, I should say.
One of these times we're gonna all pull out Boost Pops at the end.
What?
We're all gonna have to get a
Bobby.
Boost Pops and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Come on, Bobby. Let's get on the ball here.
It's a veteran underdog ice cream truck. Booze Pop, baby, it's Booze Pop, baby. Bringing people together. One booze pop at a time. Let's go. We're gonna rock out with our pops, baby. It's the only pop that keeps you warm. You can rock out to go to boozepop.com.
All right. Y'all have a good night. We will see you guys next Tuesday, live 8 p.m. Eastern.